Hello, boxing fans. I'm Smitty. Welcome to InThisCornerTV.com. You know, for so many years, the glamour division of boxing, the big guys, the heavyweights. Well, that hasn't been the case lately, has it? Hopefully, things will change. Thanks to our guest today, David Haye. Maybe he'll spruce things up. Haye captured the WBA heavyweight title from Nikolay Valuev in November. We had the opportunity to sit down and talk not only about that fight, but his plans to clean up the heavyweight division. We're at Mandalay Bay with newly crowned WBA heavyweight champion, the Haymaker, David Haye. David, welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks a lot.
You know, 2 years ago, right around the time of the Macronelli fight, I made a prediction that you would win the heavyweight championship. I thought you had the athleticism to get it done. It's the right time with the heavyweight division. Were you as confident as I was that you'd get it?
Yeah, I said from day one, I said from the outset that I'll become the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to follow a similar pattern as the great Evander Holyfield did. You know, he was the unified cruiserweight champion. He then moved up to heavyweight and challenged the big boys, and it paid off. You know, he beat a lot of them. So I knew it could be done. You know, I believed that I had, as you said, the athleticism, the speed, accuracy, and the right mindset to go out there and take on the big boys. And I didn't only take on the big boy. I took on the biggest boy in boxing history, 7'2", you know, 315 pounds. You know, he was a man mountain, and I figured out a way to relieve him of his WBA title.
That was, you had to fight against Valuev, a very strategic fight because he's so damn tall. Tell us about that fight.
I knew it would be very difficult to exchange with him. I watched fights when people tried to hold their feet with him and work with him, and they came off second best pretty much every time. So I had to find a way to land my shots and avoid getting hit by his. It's a plain and simple strategy, hit without getting hit, but it's a lot easier said than done. But I had to do a lot of hard training, a lot of drills in the gym on the pad work with the sparring partners to make sure that when I got in the ring, it wasn't a surprise. I didn't have to do anything new. I go in there and I just went through the set routines and patterns I did in the gym, and it worked a treat. It really did. You know, 2 of the 3 judges had me winning 8 of the 12 rounds, and to get judges to vote for you in such a big number in Germany is very difficult.
You also had to do it with a bad hand.
Yeah, I broke my hand in the second round over a big right hand. I slipped his jab, and with a shot that would ordinarily render an opponent unconscious. In this case, it broke my hand. He was a very, very tough individual, very strong, for the best chin I've ever hit, and I've hit a lot of chins in my time. You know, but in the last round, you know, I touched him up a little bit with a left hook, and his legs went to jelly. You know, it was the biggest shot of the fight. And after the fight, you know, when the final bell rang, he dropped his head as he knew he'd been bettered. He dropped his head and sunk back to his corner. I raised my hand in victory as I knew I was the new champion.
You know, I've been around a lot of great fighters. I was lucky enough to be at the Fifth Street Gym with Muhammad Ali when I was a little boy, and one of the things I'll say about you, good news and maybe better news, if you follow the advice. You're already a really good fighter, but I can see where you can really improve a lot.
Yeah, every fight you'll see me and you'll see something new, something different. I don't have a one particular style. I adapt my style to who I'm fighting. When I fought Jean-Marc Mormec, he was 5'10". You know, I had to get underneath his shots. You know, I had to do things completely different that I had to do against the 7'2" Nikolay Valuev. So yeah, you're right. I feel I can learn, and now I've got this fight out of the way, I've definitely learned things in this fight that I can use in future fights, particularly against the Klitschko brothers, as they're very tall. They're 6'8", 6'7". So you know, I'm going to adopt certain things I did in those fights in the Klitschko fight. So you're right. I'm learning, and I'm 29. I feel I'm a young 29. I haven't had too many miles on the clock. I've knocked out, you know, 21 of my 22 victories.
You take good care of yourself.
I live clean, and I think that's a big thing for me.
You know, one thing that's a big thing for us. It used to be so go the heavyweights in this country. You know, so goes boxing. It's been a lot of a change. The last great one we had, it really was from your neck of the woods, my buddy Lennox Lewis. How important for you is it to be a crossover star here in America?
Oh, it's massive. You know, Lennox Lewis managed to pull it off. You know, he came over here, he fought the best. He fought Evander Holyfield in Madison Square Garden. He fought Mike Tyson. You know, he came over here. He beat good, solid Americans, guys who the Americans were behind. but he went over there and whooped him. He lost a couple of fights, but then he got revenge in those fights against Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman. So he's definitely someone who, for me, has left a legacy in the heavyweight division.
Have you heard from him since you
I talked to him a couple of days ago. I'm actually going to go over to Jamaica to see him. He's based out there. I'm going to be in Barbados, so I'm going to pop over and see him and his family. And he's a good friend of mine, and he's a big role model, and he sort of inspires me.
What do you bring to the table different in the heavyweight division? What can the fans look forward to? I've seen you fight a lot. I know what you bring. What do you think you bring that's a little different? Some charisma.
Some charisma and a lot of excitement. If you look at a lot of the Eastern European guys, they come from the old sort of Eastern Bloc amateur training method where they throw very regimented punches. Their arms are very stiff. There's not too much fluidity in what they do. There's not much style and finesse. It's just pretty much amateur boxing at a higher level. But when you see me, you see a lot of head movement, a lot of foot movement. You see a bit of hot dogging. You see a bit of everything. You see, a complete performance. And I think by applying that to these big guys, it only exaggerates what I do, and it makes for a great spectacle.
What can we expect next? What's your timetable? I've heard you say, I know you'd like to try to unify this thing. Going to be difficult because you got the Klitschko's in your way, and making those fights sometimes can be more difficult than winning a fight.
Yeah, definitely. I've tried to deal with the Klitschko's in the past, and you're right, it's pretty difficult. Everybody wants everyone wants the lion's share. Everyone wants to try to take as much as possible and give back as little as possible. So now that I'm coming to the table with the WBA Heavyweight Championship of the world, we'll be hopefully we have to see some sort of middle ground, and we'll be able to get it on. But first off, for me is John Ruiz. The Puerto Rican American. I feel that.
Who lives here in Vegas, a buddy of mine.
He's a very underrated fighter. I think that he'll be up for the fight. He's used to fighting these big guys. He's used to fighting Valuev. He's used to fighting some of the bigger heavyweights out there. So he might not see me as much as a threat. But I definitely feel, with what I bring to the table, your buddy's going to have to get knocked out. Sorry about that.
I got another buddy of mine I heard a message from. His name is David Too, the Terminator, David Tua. Is that something you'd consider down the road?
Definitely. David Too, he's coming off a great win. He's been pretty inactive in the last few years, but he's come back with a good win against his countryman, Shane Cameron. Sorry, he's not a countryman. He was from Australia. He had a good victory. He came out there and blasted him out of the water. Shane Cameron is a club level fighter, but if David Tua can keep the same momentum going, then I definitely see a showdown with potentially him in the future.
Tell the American audience something. This will air everywhere, but tell us a little bit, some stuff about you that we don't know, something personal, something about your life that we maybe don't know.
I have 2 chihuahuas. A lot of people are quite surprised when they see me walking down with 2 little fluffy chihuahuas.
The ladies like that. So.
Yeah, the ladies like that. When I first got them, my wife actually bought the dogs, and I was really embarrassed, to be honest. And then once I realised how much attention you got with the dogs, they became my best friends, and I love them to death now.
Who's your favorite fighter of all time?
My favourite fighter of all time? There's so many of them. There's different fighters for different reasons. You'd have to obviously go with the great Muhammad Ali. I actually named my son Cassius Haye. So there's a link there to the great Muhammad Ali. You obviously got the great Lennox Lewis for me. Someone who's the consummate professional inside and outside of the ring. I love Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones, James Toney. Guys who really put it online and really go with these big fights. Obviously, Oscar De La Hoya. There's so many fighters out there.
Tell us about signing with Golden Boy.
Yes, definitely. I knew that I'd have to come over here and take over America. That's always been my plan. I know the American fight fans like what I do, like what I bring to the table, and it's the natural thing to come over here and try and take over. And I felt that Golden Boy, we made a sort of a strategic alliance in terms of we work together as promoters. I promote a lot of my fight Haymaker promotions, so we teamed up with Golden Boy promotions. And we feel that we can take it to the next level. We're looking at having a big fight over here next year, at the end of next year, potentially. In our fingers crossed with one of the Klitschko brothers, and we'll feel. I felt that what they brought to the table in terms of experience and knowledge, it was a perfect companion for me.
Well, you've made my pound for pound list about a year ago, so now you have a date when you come back here. You get to do an entire show with me. I've been inside the ring with Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, yesterday Sugar Shane Mosley, Bernard Hopkins, so many great fighters. So prepare yourself. Ruiz may be difficult, but getting inside the ring with me will be a chore for the Haymaker. We look forward to sitting down.
I relish the challenge.
Hey, Dave, congratulations on winning the championship. Really do look forward to sitting down with you at length, and I think certainly this young man is going to bring a lot of excitement to boxing.